Hi, I want to talk about a topic, and I have to struggle sometimes to get myself to start talking about this topic. Let me get my soda because it has to do with things that many people want to keep private, like if you fall in love or you have a spiritual experience, and then when you see it happen in other people, or in you reading the stories, then it usually comes as a surprise, but it happens to everybody at some point. And these ideas, they are very prevalent in Persian culture, in older cultures, that you see it happen. Well, uh, many Sufis, they have these books. Any Sufi master that you want to think of, they always have these books which sound like Romeo and Juliet. They're stories of how a girl, came around, and the guy saw him, and they fell in love, and there were all these obstacles, and the guy usually kills himself at the end. It's really sad, but sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Uh, so it's always a love story, but the many Sufis, they don't really care for the physical love, or like a girl or a guy. In fact, many of these stories and poetry that goes with it, and there is a profusion of it in Iranian culture, and uh, many Sufi traditions in India, in Iraq. Well, the Arabs have their own version of this. I know of one, of Wamer Azra. Wamer was a girl, as I think. No, I'm not sure. These are all Arab names. But in the Old Testament, we have the Joseph, and Pharaoh's wife. She falls for him. These stories, they are all very prevalent in the older cultures, and in later times. But these stories are really fake. They are the people who wrote them. They did not intend to portray physical love, because, well, it is a portrayal of physical love, but the reasons they wrote the stories is because they want to portray what happens spiritually when the human soul or spirit actually perceives God and falls in love with God. See, this is my theory. Okay, when two people fall in love, two, a girl and a guy, there is like their spirit is very much in tune with each other. So it doesn't happen just physically. It actually happens in the consciousness of these people, and well, this is exactly the same process that the spiritual love happens. It happens in the consciousness of the devotee, or the seeker, or the disciple. They perceive this other being, this other person, and they they you discover that, hey, I am very much like him. I'm God like him, but he or she uh, developed to this extent. So when I see this person, I really am seeing myself, but uh, but this is a really serendipitous kind of discovery, because then you discover, hey, I got these other rooms in the house. I never thought that I have these other rooms. Well, actually, in the New Testament, Jesus says that I have many rooms in my Father's house, which is like it's like discovering a different aspect or higher aspect of yourself, and becoming very happy or and joyous, something like that. Well, these themes they show up in Christianity, early Christianity, and also in early Islam. For example, you hear many hadiths. Hadiths are the stories about Prophet Muhammad, that he was just walking from to a village, and every village that he would come to, many people will come and meet him. As soon as they meet him, they become Muslim. I mean, you don't see these stories anywhere, except you have to go back to times of Jesus in Christianity, or times of Imam Ali, or Prophet Muhammad. Then, other than that, or Imam Ali's children, which were are imams, you don't hear these stories anywhere. You don't see people like I don't certainly go around and like meet a rabbi and totally turn Jewish, or meet a Buddhist monk, and just completely same day lose it all and become a monk. And it doesn't happen like that. But it did happen at the times of Jesus, with disciples and with other people that he met along the way. So there is a dynamic, there is something that happened over there. The people that met Prophet Muhammad or Imam Ali or Jesus, they had an experience. It was an inner experience. It had nothing to do with the theology and the philosophy of Christianity that came in. So it was something that happened in their soul, and they discovered God. They saw it, that it can happen to a person, and they fell in love with it. And they also, what else that happened is that they also knew that, hey, this this was like me. He was like me. He had the same soul. uh, oh, how come this happened over there? uh, and I see some of that in me. So then this is the dynamics that happen. In fact, I had a spiritual experience in Khanaqah, the Sufi temple. I felt that there was a communion. I felt that there is this spirit, and she came in. She totally knew me. She totally knew everything about me. She not only knew me, she also knew all my ancestors. And it was like a tremendous kinship. And it faded away after a few moments. This is in Islamic theology, they call this ettisal. Ettisal means being totally connected, totally in tune, and there is a feeling of love and being the same communion. Well, we can look into the uh, theology of it in Christian terms or in Islamic terms, or look at quantum physics, says that the humans are actually segregated consciousness of the universal mind, or universal consciousness. The reason I try to explain all this stuff in terms of modern science or quantum physics, because when I start explaining these things in Islamic or Shia theology, or tell you the experience, and many people in our schools in Sufism have had some experience like that. They kind of think I'm very banal, very like ordinary. He's, and well, there must be something better, but there isn't. And so I kind of also explain these things in modern physics, and many people, many Iranians that they had left Iran, they kind of have lost track of these things. And when I explain it in these terms, they kind of remember the past and the theology that was there. But for many Christians too, when you start talking about these experiences, is uh, is just like remembering early Christianity and many events that happened that are actually recorded in New Testament, but many people they just gloss over it because they never had this experience, and it just sounds like his story. It's very nice story. Well, actually, Jesus was very spiritual, so this could have easily have happened too, right? Another thing that is very interesting, the Sufi master said that if you at some point in the spiritual development, your your own soul manifests itself to you as a person, but this person, it totally looks like you. It's like when I see my higher self, he looks like a Hassan, but prettified like 1,000 times, more magnificent, more serene, more. Well, I'm not very loving. I lost a lot of the. I'm a very belligerent person actually, but this higher self is it shows up, and well, in the New Testament, you see. Well, if you saw that movie, um, Passion of Christ, you see that uh, towards the end where Jesus being warned by uh, by the by the father, he's actually talking. It's like he's talking to a person that's dressed up in kind of bluish garb, and he comes in and tells him, "This is kind of like a same experience that tell you that this is your higher self can talk to you, warn you of things that are coming. This higher self is actually your soul that's connected to the universe. The universe is the universal consciousness, but this higher self is like a mini god that shows up. And well, these ideas, they're very much heretical ideas, and in Muslim world, many good philosophers have lost their head over this, and in fact, this has been going on for many generations. I think Hallaj was the Muslim mystic that he was the one that was very famous, and he lost his head too. And the other one, well, Bruno wasn't as greater mystic as Hallaj, but Giordano Bruno also lost his life. So these ideas, they're very heretical ideas, and but at some point you're gonna come across it. But if you read early Christianity accounts of Jesus or Prophet Muhammad, you're gonna constantly come uh, to these discussions, and many things, many events that they narrate about Jesus or Prophet Muhammad are like things that people just gloss over, and they puzzle over it a little bit. They don't know what this thing means, but it kind of follows in the same kind of structure. Well, Prophet Muhammad has, besides Quran, which was they would say this is the direct inspiration from God, he has what they call, the Muslims call wasaya. Wasaya means the when you leave wills or narratives or something that was told you and you write it down. They are not actually part of Quran. They have been collected in other books. And if you read some of these vasayas, you see that it's like as if there is another person, like a third person out there, up in the space, and he is just telling Prophet Muhammad, Ya Bani Adam, Ya, O son of man, this is like this, and this will happen at the end time. O son of man, this is a constant repetition in the Vasaya of Prophet Muhammad. And then I told you the Christian version of it with Jesus, that it was like a person, actual person came in. And this is the actual person that Jesus called the Father, came in and told me this. You know what I mean? And I think when I read the New Testament, there were many references to this, but right now that's the one I remember. Uh, but this topic of ittisal or communion, it is very prevalent in Islamic theology, in Christianity. There is many narratives and many discussions about it. Well, the Sufi master had also a lecture. He talked about it, but he also talked about when two people fall in love, like when a guy and a girl, they fall in love, and it's a really true love. It happens in their consciousness, and he kind of started talking about in the same manner with like quantum physics, that really we don't know how a particle uh, attracts another particle and they join, become like a atom or a molecule. There is all these attractions and all this gravity and all this stuff that's happening there. It's not really something clear, but in religious accounts this also happens, that it's a kind of like admiration and discovery at the same time, that hey, this the, this is me, this is the greatest self. Or like the one I discovered in Khanagah is like this ghost, they just totally knew me. Well, actually I'm a medium, and I experience ghosts. Usually it's someone that is in the family, and for example, I see the ghost of my father at all times, many times. Sometimes I see him, it's like he's here. I see his image. I see I see him in dreams. The same with people who are family or related. Uh, well, the communication between people who love each other or care for each other, it can happen when they're alive too. It doesn't have They don't have to die for this to happen. Well, I'm gonna wait. Let me get this diet coke. I'm gonna call this video communion, and I don't know what subtitle to put it. Some of these topics that I know about and I talk about, they are so bizarre and so arcane. You really only I think like the topic I just talked to you about, communion. You probably have to be like a die-hard Christian researcher to go back to all this time and try to find these equivalences in our times. The same, many well, I think Muslims know about this a lot more than the Christians, but hey, uh, I could go into it more, but I think you're gonna get bored. And this is something that will happen at some point to people. They know either the physical or the spiritual version of it, but the nice thing is that it will happen at some point. That's a really pretty thing. Uh, yeah. Thank you very much for being in my YouTube channel and in my Instagram. Please don't be shy, leave comments and everything. Else. Yeah, thanks.